what should technology's role in the classroom be?
Am I looking there?
No,
okay. I always feel technology's role in the classroom, it's an important role, but it's a supportive role because it's not necessarily about the tool, but it's about what are you doing with the tool.
Yeah.
So I found in my experience that technology's role in the classroom can help make the learning more engaging, can make the learning more authentic, can make the learning more relevant. And if it's leveraged properly, you get all those pieces parts besides the normal skills that you want, like the kids being able to, change the color of their font or inserting a picture, like those things. But that for most kids, they want to be on a device. So if you can frame the activity or the lesson where it actually makes sense and it's not just like, here, I'm going to put you on this just because I'm going to engage you, it's super helpful. And with like for example, Google Hangouts or virtual field trips or blogging, you have so much more authentic audience than you would have if you didn't have technology, because how can you have an authentic audience when you're just in the walls of your room? I mean, yes, you can talk to other kids in your class, but this way kids can put their thoughts and ideas to the greater world.
So how do you think that teachers should be making the decision? Because you said that it isn't the tool, it's how you use the tool or how you're making the decision to use the tool. So how should teachers be thinking about technology's role, where they're sort of making that intentional choice? Oh, this is where the technology should come in. It's going to provide a lot of value for my kids or push their thinking or...
Well, it depends on, I think, like the technological capabilities of the actual teacher itself. Because a lot of times, if a teacher is a techie and they have experience using a variety of different technology tools and creating technology lessons, they see the natural fit of, well, this would be great. Like, for example, we need to do peer editing. So, of course, I want to use Google Docs and have the kids be able to comment on each other's work. And how great is that? Because we can see who's commenting when. We can actually read the kids' handwriting because they're typing it in. So you see more natural pieces. But if you have a teacher who's not comfortable, it's harder because they're not sure what the capacity of the technology is in terms of. I've just found that working with teachers, you can get them to see where the natural places are. But if they're not naturally inclined to technology, then they'll think of more, substitution. If you're talking about SAMR model, they'll be like, okay, straight up substitution. And, it takes time for them to get to modification or redefinition instead of, doing the poster about cyberbullying, doing a, PSA about cyberbullying. So it's kind of based in some ways teachers' knowledge and also teachers' willingness. Those are the two things that I've seen.
So the teacher's knowledge of the tools, and I almost heard sort of thinking about what's possible or knowing what's possible with those particular tools.
That's a better way of saying it.
But I also see, and I'd love for to hear your thoughts on sort of supporting teachers in being generative or creative of what's possible rather than just having that understanding, oh, this is what other people have done. Do you feel like it's important to involve teachers in sort of that creative process where they are developing what's possible?
Yeah, I do, and I find that when you if you work with teachers and you can sit with them one-on-one or in the small group of the grade level, and you're talking about, okay, this is a project that we're doing, and they do want to integrate technology because most projects and most units or lessons, there is a place to integrate technology one way or another, whether it's the end project or the work along the way, whether it's the brainstorming and using a Padlet instead of writing it out on paper and having that piece. I think that when you work with the teachers and you sit and talk with them, and it's the same thing when you brainstorm with kids and you get those ideas going and flowing, that same with kids, if you include them in the process and ideas, if they have, okay, maybe I want to do this, or maybe I'm thinking about that, but then you can bring out of them and maybe suggest to them, well, this you're talking about graphic organizers. Well, we could, that they normally do a pen and paper graphic organizer. How about Lucid Chart? They want some ways for the kids to be, to connect with, learn from an expert. Well, let's, look at, Skypes and see if there's any experts, or, Google Hangouts or virtual field trips to see if those pieces part. So it's like, I kind of feel like even with the ones who are not techie, you got to involve them in that, because if they see the value and see like, wow, that sounds like it'd be really engaging for the kids, or that looks really cool, or want a nice skill, or oh, that would help me organize better, or even help the kids organize better, that you get the buy-in from them. And some, depending on the teacher's level of creativity, like I have some teachers who'll be like, could we do this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's like, if I don't know, I'm like, well, let's go find out.
Right,
maybe someone has
together.
that kind of thing.
I hear there too a real emphasis on sort of starting with the purpose. Like, what is your purpose here? Is it to really sort of redefine this task, or provide additional opportunities for learning, or different ways of demonstrating learning and things like that? If you start there, then you can sort of backwards plan, or really sort of incorporate the times where the tools make sense. So I feel like you definitely have tackled this question, and sort of the role of technology.
That's a good way of saying it. It's really what's the purpose, and the purpose, if you're working with a classroom teacher, the purpose should come from them. It's not my purpose. I mean, I'm here to help.
Right.
So it's because if you say, and they give you, this is what I want, and you can help them get to where they want to go, then they love you.
Well, absolutely. Well, and I would say then it's truly useful, right? Like it has a lot of value, rather than, and this is just one more thing in the classroom.
Right.
So I do have this question on what are the questions that you are left with? You've been at this school for about 6 weeks, and sort of your first introduction to Aurora, almost in the similar timeline to myself. But you have a different lens, a different way of looking at it. And so, what is the question that you're left with, or that you've been grappling with over this time?
Excuse me. I think part of it is it is the age-old question. It's the question of time, because I do see a lot of potential at the school in terms of working with the teachers, in terms of the teachers' natural capabilities. It's not like they don't use tech, which is great. It's not like, except for a couple grade levels, they're actually, open to it. So my thing is in terms of time, in terms of me being able to work with them and do this planning and be able, I mean, it's the age-old question. It's always the same question.
How do you have enough time?
Right, because we have access with devices. That's, it's always the question, access and time. So now it's like time with the teachers, especially when there's so many demands on them in other areas. So that's where I'm at, time.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.